So today guys, we are going to be building a super small Micro ATX build, but we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. We're actually going to be building on the AM5 platform. Now, the reason why that's pretty interesting is because if you guys have been keeping up with the PC market, you know that DDR5 RAM, SSDs, and GPUs have been super expensive right now. So the reason why I wanted to do this is simply to show you guys what an entire build looks like with all the new prices if you haven't been keeping up. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. Starting with the CPU, we have the Ryzen 5 9600X. Now, this is a 6-core, 12-thread CPU, and you can get this for around $190. I think this was going for a little bit cheaper just a couple months ago, but still, for $190, it's actually a pretty solid chip. Since this is a gaming PC and we're targeting 1440p, the 6 cores and 12 threads is going to be great, and it has good scores for both single core and multi-core, so we really shouldn't have any issues. Now, one thing that a lot of people mention about the 9600X is simply that you could technically just get a 7600X or even a 7600, and performance between the 9600X and the 7600X really isn't that big. And usually the 7600X is going for around $20 to $30 cheaper. So if you wanted to go with an option like that, that is definitely there. But the 9600X is on the latest AMD CPU lineup, and overall it's going to perform really well with the rest of the parts. But of course, we're going to need a motherboard to plug this into. So the one that we have for this video today is the GIGABYTE B850M Eagle Wi-Fi 6E. Now, this is a really solid board. Of course, it's on the AM5 platform, which is perfect for the CPU, and it has a ton of good features that are really helpful. It supports DDR5 RAM, which is really important. It also has PCIe 5.0, which is really great for the GPU we're using. And technically, you probably could save a little bit of money going on the B650M platform and getting one that has PCIe 5.0. But honestly, getting the B850M compared to the B650 isn't a huge difference, and you're on the latest platform, which has some benefits as well. But yeah, let me actually just start building this PC out instead of just me talking about it. I haven't actually made a video like this in a very long time where I'm actually building the PC with you guys. So this is something that I did want to test. I do like making videos like this. It's just been, I've been trying to figure out how production will work, but I think this would be a style that you guys will see on the channel a little bit more. Now, of course, we have the board here. This is a really nice looking board. It has 4 RAM slots. It also has an SSD part here that I really like. It's a toolless design, so you don't need to use a screwdriver to install the SSD. But overall, just a really solid board, and it's going to work perfect with the rest of the parts. Another thing to mention too is that it has an IO shield built in, so we don't have to install one by ourselves, which honestly, I wish every motherboard had, but that's great to see on a board like this. Now, let's just install the CPU. So we're going to take the 9600X out here. So to install the CPU, it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to lift the latch here and then lift this up. And then we're just going to place down the 9600X right straight in, so it doesn't bend or anything. And just like that, the CPU is now in. I'm gonna lower this down and then of course lower the latch as well. And just like that, the CPU is now installed. Now we're going to install the CPU cooler a little bit later. What I wanted to get to is the RAM. Now this is the T-Force Vulcan DDR5 kit at 32 gigabytes running at 6000 megahertz CL30. And this is going for $530, which is absolutely insane. Now, I think I actually bought this kit for around $280 Canadian, which is around, I think, 220 American dollars. So this is going for $300 more. So in Canadian dollars, it's absolutely insane. But yeah, this is just the reality we're working with all of the AI data centers and them taking all the RAM. And overall, just prices for everything is just up, which really sucks. But yeah, there's really just nothing we can do about it. You technically could get, a lower megahertz kit, or you could get one that's CL36 or CL38 to save some money. So yeah, let's get this RAM installed. This is actually a really valuable piece of equipment here. So definitely going to be keeping this for a while. I wish I could do some more builds on the AM5 platform, but we're just limited to what we have right now. So to install the RAM, it's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to have to open up these 2 slots here, and then we're just going to press it down, make sure that it's aligned the right way. So this way, and then you're just going to line them up and then simply just put some pressure, and just like that, the RAM is now in. But this is definitely the part that has just increased the entire build cost. Like, I think a build like this would have gone for a lot cheaper, which we'll get to in a little bit later, but yeah, just absolutely insane. Now, another part that has also gone up is SSDs, and the one I have here is the T-Force Z44A7Q. It's a 1 terabyte Gen 4 drive, and basically you can't buy this in the US. I was only able to find it in Canada, but one that's super simple similar that has the exact same feature set, which is the T-Force G50. That is going for $187. I'm pretty sure that's basically double of what a 1TB drive was just even early or late last year. Honestly, just so crazy. But yeah, we technically could go for a Gen 5 drive here, but if we want to spend, you know, $280 on a drive, that is something we could do. But Gen 4 speeds, honestly, since we're gaming, we're not really going to notice a difference. So let's get this installed here. It's going to be really simple. We don't even need to use a screwdriver like I mentioned earlier. We just have to lift this and take off the heatsink, and then we can simply just plug in the SSD right here. So all you have to do is just line up the SSD with the slot, and then you can take this lever and then put it in just like that, and then just reinstall this on top. And just like that, our motherboard is 80% done. Now what we have to do is install the CPU cooler. Now the one we're going to be using is a little bit interesting. This is the ID Cooling IS77XT. It's actually a low profile CPU cooler. Now I know the case we're using is quite small, but you still can fit a pretty, you know, normal CPU cooler. But I think this is just really interesting, and it's just one that I haven't used yet. You can get this for around $45 on Amazon, so it's not a bad price, but of course it gives us a ton of clearance, so we don't have to worry at all. But even if you just got like a Peerless Assassin or something, that would work completely fine as well. But what we do have to do is unscrew these brackets here, because we have to install of course the brackets for the cooler. So it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is get these little standoffs and you have to screw them into all of the four around the CPU. Then once that's in, we can simply just place the brackets facing outwards like this, and then we can use these to basically lock them in. So we're just going to place the bracket like this. So my mistake, you're supposed to put them inwards because it's just way too big of a gap. So that's my mistake, but yeah, make sure you do it like that and don't do it how I did it originally. That was kind of embarrassing. That's what happens, guys, when you don't follow instructions. I kind of just try to wing it instead, but you know, we get to fix it. We get to solve some problems instead. But yeah, that should now be perfect, so we can line up the cooler, and it should actually be lined up properly. Perfect. And you can see there's these little gaps in the CPU cooler that you can put your screwdriver through and then start screwing them in. And then once it's fully screwed in, we can simply just plug this into the CPU fan header, and just like that, our motherboard is basically complete, and we can actually move on to the case. Okay, so speaking of the case, this is the JOYJOM Micro ATX case, and you can get this on Amazon for $33. So the one benefit of this case is that it fits a Micro ATX board, but it's actually pretty compact, especially compared to even Micro ATX cases. But there are quite a few trade-offs as well. I don't think you guys can see, but on the top here, it's basically just metal. So there's no exhaust coming from the top. The front does have some gaps, so some air is going through there, but honestly, probably not enough to really make it sufficient. And then the main area that air goes out from is the back here, which is just a super small 80mm fan cutout. So airflow in this case is basically non-existent. Honestly, this is really just a metal box. Even the feet at the bottom here are just not really lifted off the table when you actually place it like this. So it's going to be really interesting what the temps are like. I'm assuming it won't be too bad since we're not using the highest end parts, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. And another thing to keep in mind also is that there actually aren't enough standoffs for a Micro ATX board. So basically it's probably enough to actually secure it in, but of course some of the holes are just going to literally be left empty. So this is going to be really interesting. So let's get the motherboard in here. Oh yeah, this is going to be a tight fit here. Okay, let's see. Let's try not to hit anything. Okay, we were able to get it in, and I'm just taking a look at it here. And yeah, so basically this standoff down here has nothing you can screw into. Same over here and in the corner here. So basically you can secure it at all of the rest of them, but the ones in the bottom and the top right. So it's definitely enough to keep it in and even, like, you know, plug things in, just something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's get this screwed in. Okay, so just like that, the motherboard is basically in, and yeah, it's pretty secure. It won't really be going anywhere. I think the 6 screws that we plugged in should be completely fine. So what we're gonna do now is plug in some of these case fans. So one thing that you might notice here is, yeah, so you can't actually plug in this USB 3.0 header, because on this motherboard, I don't know if you guys can see, it actually is in the bottom right corner here, and it's facing outwards. So you can't plug this in, so the front USB is not going to be able to be used, but that should be okay. We have plenty of USB on the motherboard, but we can actually plug in, of course, like the power switch, the audio, and the USB one. So let's just go ahead and do that now. So the audio one is just going to be here in the bottom left, and then the USB one is just going to be near the center here. So, and then we have to plug in, of course, like like the power switch and the reset switch. So that's going to be in the bottom right. So just like that, all of the wires should now be plugged in. And as you may notice, the cable management is basically non-existent in this case. There's nowhere to hide them. So we're just going to kind of line them up on the right side here. And yeah, that should be good enough. And then this USB 3.0 header that we can't use, we'll also just basically just squeeze into the corner here. Okay, so just like that, we have everything hidden on the right side. So now what we have to do is install the power supply. Actually, before that, we're going to install a 80mm fan. This is just the Cooler Master. I'm pretty sure it's called the Sickleflow. It's an 80mm fan, as I said. It's super small, but it should allow us to get a little bit better airflow with the exhaust. Hopefully it makes somewhat of a difference. And yeah, let's just get this installed right here. So we're going to want it to be facing outwards. So we're going to have it installed this way, and then we're going to have the cable towards the top because the fan header is over here on the top right. So we'll install it this way. Okay, so just like that, the fan is now screwed in, and then we're just going to find the CPU fan header, or sorry, the fan header at the top here. And yeah, we're just going to line this up and plug it in. Okay, so now that it's plugged in, we're just going to kind of wire it just around this little gap here. And yeah, that should be good to go. This should help us with airflow just at least a little bit, which is really what we need in a case like this. So for the power supply, we're going to be using the MSI Mag A750GL. Now this is a modular power supply, which is really important because in a case like this, we basically don't want to be taking up too much space. So this will allow us to only have to plug in the wires that we actually need, which should just be the motherboard, CPU, and the PCIe wire for the GPU. This is a 750 watt power supply, so that's more than enough for the parts we're using, and it's 80+ gold, so we're not really wasting any heat, which is also really important for a case like this. Here it is. So basically, as you can see, all of the wires are not plugged in because we get to choose which ones. So the wires that we're going to need is the 24 pin here, the CPU one, and then of course the 24 pin is actually split like this, and then we need to plug in a PCIe one for the GPU. So let's go get those wires now. So for the 24 pin, just going to plug it in just like this, and then plug in the other sides here. Same here with the CPU one. We're just going to plug this in right down here. And then of course for the graphics cards. So just like that, our power supply is ready to be installed in the case. And as you can see, if we had a regular power supply, this would basically just we would have all the wires, even like a Molex that we don't need. But with this, we basically just have all the wires that we actually are going to use. So to get this installed, we are just going to first line it up. It's probably going to be with the fan down because there is no gap for the fan or for the air to go from the top here. Then we're simply just going to screw it into place. There isn't actually a ledge, so this is basically just being held in by these screws. So this is probably going to be leaning down just a little bit. Okay, so the power supply is now screwed in, so we can actually begin plugging everything in here. So the first thing we're going to do is do the CPU one because this one is a little bit tricky to get in here. Okay, we were able to get that in. So let's see. This is still going to be pretty hard because these wires are quite long. This would definitely be better with an SFX power supply, but let's see what we can do here for cable management. Maybe we'll deal with that a little bit later. Let's try to get the motherboard one installed. Okay, so that is now plugged in, and then the PCIe one for the GPU we'll have to install later. Okay, so basically what I did is I just kind of, threw all the cables onto the right side here. Cable management is going to be really hard in a case like this, so I think trying to just kind of hide it out of way is going to be our best bet. Maybe after this, I'll try to make it look just a little bit better with some cable ties, but right now we're basically ready to install the GPU in here. And for this build, we are going with the 9060 XT 16GB, which honestly is a perfect pair with the rest of the parts here. The biggest selling point for this GPU is simply because it has 16GB of VRAM, which is great, especially with modern games starting to take more, and at 1440p, it's going to be a great choice. Now, like SSDs and RAM, the prices for GPUs have also gone up. This used to be, I think, even just $100 cheaper if I'm not mistaken, but still, even for $480, there really aren't that many better alternatives, and the performance we're getting and targeting is going to be really great. So this is a pretty compact one. It's going to fit perfectly into this case. I think I did see some cheaper options for one that came from like ASRock or Sapphire, I'm pretty sure. So, but yeah, so let's just get this installed right away. Okay, so this should be just pretty simple. Just have to plug it in here and put the PCIe cable, and we should be good to go here. I think we're gonna have to come in at an angle here. There we go. Okay, so now this is plugged into the PCIe slot. We're just gonna lock it in with a screw. Okay, so now that is secured in place, we can simply just plug in the PCIe wire here. So let's just do that. And yeah, our full PC should be good now. So let's kind of just, hide this wire on the right side here. Just get it out of the way. That is basically the entire build right here. So yeah, I think this looks pretty decent. So yeah guys, that is the entire build, and the total for everything came out to $1,715. And look, I'm not going to pretend that's a cheap PC. It's not. The RAM alone is eating up a huge chunk of this budget in a way that honestly shouldn't be the case right now. But what you're getting for that price is a current gen AM5 system with a 9600X, 32GB of DDR5 RAM, and a 9060 XT with 16GB of VRAM, all packed into one of these smallest micro ATX cases. If RAM and SSD prices ever come back down to where they were even just a few months ago, this build makes a lot more sense. But right now, that's where we're at. So let's see if the performance actually justifies it. Starting with Fortnite, performance mode, epic draw distance, high meshes at 1440p. Average FPS came in at 357.8 with 1% lows at 174.1. CPU was sitting at 78 degrees Celsius and GPU at 68. And look, those numbers are just stupid good. For a competitive title like Fortnite, you're never going to need more than this, even if you're running a 240Hz or 360Hz monitor. This build is really just going to feed it no problem. And temps in a case this restricted, honestly, way better than I expected. Next up, Arc Raiders at 1440p high preset with no upscaling. The average was 89.2 FPS, 1% lows at 53.9. The CPU hit 79 degrees and the GPU at 69. Arc Raiders is a decently demanding game, so I think 89 average at high settings with no upscaling at 1440p is genuinely pretty solid. The 1% lows at 53 are the thing to flag though. You're going to feel the occasional dip below 60 in really intense moments. If you want to smooth that out, dropping to medium or throwing on FSR quality would get you comfortably above 60 FPS the whole time. Marvel Rivals at 1440p medium preset and no upscaling, we got an average of 68.5 and 46.3 on the 1% lows. The CPU was at 81 degrees Celsius and the GPU was also at 69. Marvel Rivals is generally one of the more demanding games right now, and medium and 1440p with no upscaling at 68 average, it's playable, but you're going to feel those 1% lows dipping into the mid 40s. The easy fix for this is simply just enabling FSR performance or quality, which will push that average well above 100. Last one, we have Warzone. At 1440p basic preset, we had a 166.3 average and 116.3 on the 1% lows. The CPU hit 84 degrees under load here, which is the highest of all 4 games, and the GPU was also at 69 degrees. The FPS numbers are great, with a 166 average with 116 lows, means that the game feels really consistent throughout without any sudden drops. The CPU temp hitting 84 does make sense, as Warzone is pretty CPU intensive, but that's still well within normal operating range for the 9600X, especially in a case like this. But yeah guys, that is the full build. Smallest micro ATX system I've put together, running on AM5 with the 9060 XT. The price is what it is right now, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But if you're looking for a current gen build in a small footprint, this one is pretty hard to beat.